Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda, and today I am going to be doing a reading review / reading vlog for Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Yes, I am a huge Leigh Bardugo fan. No, I have not read Ninth House yet. I've been pushing it off because I was scared that it would be overhyped and that I wouldn't enjoy it. So now I'm going to force myself to read it, and you're going to get to witness it. I bought this book from a used bookstore online, and I just now opened it to see what the inside looks like, and it's signed. It's signed, and it's also brand new. So like, oh my god, I'm so excited about the signing. Honestly, I can't get over that. I don't really know what this book is about. Honestly, I don't like reading summaries before I get into the book. I know that the main girl's name is Galaxy. She goes by Alex. She goes to Yale, ? And she's part of some kind of magical cult where there's like 8 houses, and then she somehow is part of the 9th house, maybe? Stephen King did a blurb on the back. And Joe Hill. That's his son. I don't know any of these other names. I'm gonna get started because it's really late at night and I actually have work in the morning for the first time ever. Not ever, but for the first time in over a month. So I'm gonna try to read a chapter right now and go to sleep. I just wanted to talk to you guys before I actually started. Hey, so I am 1.5 chapters into Ninth House and I'm enjoying the writing. I like where I think the book is going to go, but I'm not necessarily liking the book right now. I'm really tired. I got home from work. I went grocery shopping. Yeah, I think I might take a nap. I was gonna read, but I just feel like I'm gonna fall asleep right here. What I don't like right now about the book is Leigh Bardugo did this thing that I absolutely hate, which is she introduced a lot of characters but didn't actually tell me anything about them. So there's Alex, of course, but then she keeps mentioning, I think I'm on page like 20, and she's mentioned 4 friends that have gotten a few small hints. Like, I know that one of them is dead. I know that one of them is helping her, and I know that 2 are females, and that's it. And I cannot stand when characters are introduced like that, and I cannot stand when tons and tons and tons of characters are introduced in the first chapter. I trust Leigh Bardugo. She introduced a ton of characters in the beginning of Six of Crows, and it ended up being one of my absolute favorite books ever. So I'm going to keep reading it. I also need to take the dust jacket off. I've been reading it with the dust jacket on. My nap failed. I'm gonna go and do some reading now. I'm getting a little bit annoyed with how much she's mentioning Darlington, but like not saying anything about him. Like, we don't know anything about him except that he's her mentor. So I think I'm gonna really like him once he's in the book. I just wish he was in the book already. Also, I think this book is non-linear, which is like, oh, one of my favorite things ever. Oh, hey, look, who's about to have their own POV now, finally. Hey, yeah, you like that? It's nice. Ninth House. So I was reading the other day. I read 70 pages, which is absolutely awesome. I am really enjoying the book now. Like, really, really enjoying it. I kind of forgot that Leigh Bardugo has like a slow beginning, and then I decided I wanted to annotate, so that's nice. I have my tabs somewhere on me, and then I had to do some stuff. So I put the book down to go do some things, and I haven't come back to it, and it's been like 3 days. I don't know why. I'm really enjoying the book. I think I'm kind of just in a weird reading slump, which I was in when I started this book, but I thought this book would help me get out of it, and instead I'm just avoiding a book I really love. Read a chapter right now before bed, but I need to get both of my audiobooks done by tomorrow, and I have like 9 hours left between the 2 of them. So like, I listen on times 2 speed, so that's like 4.5 hours, but if I get really busy tomorrow, I'm not going to be able to do that. So I'm going to read a chapter of this tonight and kind of remind myself that this is awesome, and then I'm going to be listening to some audiobooks while I'm trying to fall asleep. is official. I have finished Ninth House, and oh my wordy word, yes, this was an amazing book. You know what? Normally I save my ratings for the end of this whole entire spiel part, but for this time, I rated this book 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I can't wait to reread it. I can't wait to read the sequel. I can't wait to reread the sequel. Before I go into talking about the book itself and what it is, I'd like to do a few housekeeping things and talk about the essence of the book. First off, this cover is gorgeous. I absolutely love it. I love that that snaky thing does that thing. I love it. I love the matte. I love the gloss. Everything about it. The bold font. If I had to design a book cover, it would probably not be far off from something like this. Second off, I got this book used online and I got it pretty cheap. And then when I opened it the first time, I found out it was signed and I almost cried. Next, not only do I love author's notes at the end of books now and acknowledgements, and do I read them every single time because I'm that type of person, but also there's an about the author and there's an about the font. And as a graphic designer, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Time to put the book up here so I can talk to you about it. Actually, no, that's a false statement. It's time for me to take it down to talk to you about the mere fact that I annotated this baby. Yeah, so I don't annotate books that often, but every once in a while I will start a book and I will realize that I absolutely loved it so much that I need to stop and annotate while I'm reading it, because generally speaking, the reason why I annotate is because the author has such amazing writing that there are things inside of the book multiple times that I am just like, yes, I agree with this. I don't annotate because characters are falling in love or settings are being described or world building is being set. I only annotate because I am at my core thinking, yes, this is me and I love it. So for instance, in Ninth House, I annotated a few different things. Most of the ones I annotated were just quotes that were absolutely so amazing that I just couldn't pass up on them. Such as this one, starting at page 32, and it says, "And then Galaxy Stern, no high school diploma, no GED, no achievements to speak of other than surviving her own misery." And then this other one on page 70 that says, "This was why he had done it, not because of guilt or pride, but because this was the moment he'd been waiting for, the chance to show someone else wonder, to watch them realize that they had not been lied to, that the world they'd been promised as children was not something that had been abandoned, that there really was something lurking in the wood, beneath the stairs, beneath the stars, that everything was full of mystery." And then this one on page 108 that says, "He who would know nothing of the sea knows nothing of suffering." Leigh Bardugo just absolutely has a way with words. She writes such amazing things and I absolutely love her for doing that. I've seen it countless times. Honestly, I think next time I read through Six of Crows, I'm going to annotate it, but sometimes I don't like annotating books because I feel like it pulls me a little bit out of them, so it really has to be a fine balance between I absolutely love the book and I want to love it just a little bit more by understanding just what it's going into. So now I can go on my shelf so we can talk about it. So this book was about a girl named Galaxy Stern who goes by the name Alex, and she has been accepted into Yale as a member of this society, a secret society that is supposed to protect other secret societies from getting too far out of hand with magic. So we follow her life in a few different timelines, but specifically we follow her in the late fall and in the winter. And in the winter, she is trying to figure out what happened to this girl who was murdered on campus but isn't a student of the school, so no one really seems to be investigating it. And then on top of that, she's also without her partner, Darlington, or Daniel Arlington. He was her mentor in the previous section. In the fall, we are starting to learn about her being accepted into Yale. We are seeing through Darlington's point of view. We are watching him train her and introduce her to the magical world, and slowly it builds to him disappearing, and we learn a little bit more about that. We also get some flashbacks from the summer before about what happened to Alex as she was being prepared to come into this society and what happened to allow her to come into this society. And then we also do eventually get to the spring after the winter. Yeah, I absolutely love that. I love time travel. Anytime you can get me a non-linear story. I mean, it's not time travel in the sense of like she was here and then she was here. I just love non-linear stories. I think they are so good and so much more interesting. I love stories that have multiple POVs. I think Leigh Bardugo does a really good job of having multiple POVs and not getting you lost in who's talking, and also making you fall in love with every single character that's coming onto the page and talking to you. Both Darlington and Alex were such amazing sweethearts. I loved them both. I don't think sweetheart is technically the word I'm supposed to use to describe Alex Stern, but I'm going to use it because I absolutely agree with the fact that I fell in love with her because she is good when you get down to her core. She's not a great person. She's not necessarily a nice person or even a sweetheart in the sense you're talking, but when you get to know her, she really is good, and she takes care of her friends and she takes care of her family, or her friends who have become family, and I love that. I loved every single relationship she had with anyone else in the book, specifically the ones that she had with other females, such as her relationship with Pamela Dawes, who is another worker for this secret society that she has become a part of. The two of them really grow this magical and fantastical relationship, and I loved it. And it almost compares to this relationship that she had had in the past with her friend Helen, or Helly, and it was just so good. And then at another point you do get to see a relationship she had when she was even younger with a girl named Megan, and I like to see how all of her relationships have changed with other women as she has grown. But of course we can't forget her relationship with Darlington. That was also really, really good to see. There wasn't a ton of on-page scenes where we got to see the two of them together, but every time that we did get to see them together, it was so good and so strong, and I loved their friendship. I love the essence of there might be something more, but it was never anything more than a hint to something more. I really appreciated the growth and the bonding of the two of them as friends. I would definitely have to say that my favorite character is Darlington. He just fascinates me the most. I really love that kind of gentlemanly suave, the I'm mysterious but everyone loves me and I'm super friendly. I could make anyone smile and fall in love with me in a friendship kind of way. I am always just drawn to those kinds of characters where it seems like no one can help but to be friends with them. But I do think that Alex has a special place in my heart, and I am so fascinated by her. And while at the beginning I was a little bit bored with only hearing about her, I was mostly bored with the fact that she was only talking about other people. Once we got into the meat of her character, I loved hearing from her perspective. I loved everything that she had to say. She was so interesting and so unique, and I just couldn't stop myself from wanting to read more about her. The book was extremely dark. I definitely had to put it down in the middle and stop reading it for a little bit. I was a little bit in a reading slump at a certain point of me reading this, and it didn't help that I was going through some other things in my personal life, so I didn't want to necessarily be reading the dark book that I was reading, but I did stop and get the audiobook and listen to a good chunk of it through that way, and I can highly recommend you the audiobook. I also, though, highly recommend you reading it physically, like I did both of them with. I highly recommend you reading it physically. I did that for about the first half, and then I listened to the audiobook for the second half, and both ways were absolutely amazing and absolutely magical. The only reason why I might recommend the audiobook just a little bit more is because Leigh Bardugo does an interview at the very back of the audiobook, and it was really good to listen to. I really enjoyed it. The narrator who plays Alex Stern interviews her, and it was just fabulous to listen to, and I felt like I got to know a little bit more about the behind the scenes of this world, and I really enjoyed it. Back to this book being really dark. So there are a lot of trigger warnings on this book. I'm not going to go into depth of all of them because there are so many. I couldn't list half of them off the top of my head. I would just recommend, if you're concerned about that, just to Google it and figure out for yourself, or watch other people's videos. I know I've seen a few where people have mentioned a few of the trigger warnings, but I don't think I've ever seen a video where they actually go through all of them, because there are so many, because this book is extremely, extremely dark. I would say, though, there was one trigger warning that I saw that I was a little on the fence about. If you're feeling hesitant about one of the trigger warnings, but you really want to read this book, I recommend giving it a shot, because I am so glad I read it, and I'm so glad I went through it. If you are looking at it like, I really am nervous about this trigger warning and I don't want to read that book because I'm afraid it will trigger me, don't do it. But if you're just kind of hesitant on the fence, I'd say try it. Give it a shot. Start out, see what you can do. It was really, really good, and I'm glad that I read this book. I don't know where I'm gonna put this onto my bookshelf because my Leigh Bardugo stack is full because I've put other books on top of it. But that's it for me right now. I loved this book. I don't think I'm going to be able to stop talking about it for a little bit, but I think it's also going to be something very similar to Six of Crows, where I love it very much inside of me instead of love it out into the world where I have to tell everyone about it. I don't know really how to explain that, but yeah, that's how my love works sometimes, is I hold it in me to have with myself. Anyways, if you've read this book, please comment down below. I'd love to talk to you about it. It is so good, and I am absolutely so impressed with Leigh Bardugo. Once again, I don't know why I ever doubted her. I shouldn't ever doubt her again. To be honest, I'm going to doubt her when the TV show comes out, but after that, I am no longer allowed to doubt her if it is successful, because she has proved to me time and time again that I should not doubt her. Anyways, yeah, if you've read the book, comment down below. I'd love to talk to you, of course, always, anytime, about any book, really. And I don't remember how my outro goes, but until next time, I'll talk to you all in the comments. Bye.